I saw a post on the Oura ring. It's one of these rings that you wear and it tracks your sleep and other things like that. Like it's like a health device, like an Apple Watch, but it's a ring. And I saw a post from somebody that was talking about how important it is to just track your sleep as sort of like a personal KPI. I think I was also talking recently about KPIs for employees or different things. Like I'm always fascinated by the idea of KPIs, key performance indicators. And what a lot of people say when you start talking about how do we define KPIs for employees, for developers, is they say, well, that's been tried before and it never works, right? People try to count lines of code. It never works. People try to count Jira issues. People try to count story points, right? Story points are an abstraction to sort of define the level of difficulty of a piece of work that's being done. But you just look up all the different memes on story points and you realize that they're an imperfect abstraction, right? So when you start talking about this, everybody says, no, that's impossible to do. I agree there's lots of ways it's been done wrong. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's super easy to do. Like here's A, B, and C how to do it. Like I think it's an open problem. It's something that's interesting to me. And when I see somebody trying to solve that problem or approaching it is interesting to me. I think there are answers there. There are answers in the universe. Not to say that they're trivial to get to, but I also don't think we should say, oh yeah, that's impossible. Everybody has tried it and it's always done wrong, so it's impossible. And the analogy to the ring thing is like, how many times throughout history have people tried to track sleep, let's say for example, and it's been just a total nightmare, right? Like you have to go into some office, do a sleep study, sleep in some random place, and you're going to be miserable there, obviously, right? And then over time, technology develops and product companies iterate on things. And now you have this nifty little ring that you can wear that tracks your sleep. And it does a great job of it. And now you have this very accurate measurement of a very important KPI to your personal life, which throughout history, there wasn't an easy way to get that data. And people maybe didn't even know that that was an important piece of data to track versus there's a billion things you can track, right? But turns out sleep is like one of the really important things. A lot of things can affect your sleep. You're stressed out, you sleep less. You're having relationship problems, you sleep less. You're not eating well, you sleep less. That has sort of emerged as like a pretty important KPI that's relatively easy to track. And so it probably makes sense to do that. And I think there's probably other things like that within the realm of KPIs for work, for development, software development. We'll eventually get there, right? Like in 100 years, 1,000 years at some point, like when we can attach a chip to people's brains and read their minds, we'll eventually get there at some point. It's just a question of how we're going to get there. So yeah, so that was sort of a weird analogy.